So hello guys, welcome to my channel. Today I am going to talk about global business environment. It is probably the longest chapter. So talking about part A. So in part A we will discuss about concept of global business environment, concept of political system, types of political system being followed, actors in political system, political risk, general political risk, government intervention in the firm, concept of legal environment, major legal system, actors in legal system, e-commerce and legal system, and intellectual property rights and its components. So first, global business environment. International business is defined as the total factor or the forces surrounding international operating firm that influence firm's performance and global market. Firm's business firm has three levels of business environment: operating environment, industry environment, and remote environment. So operating environment: cost of factors that come in firm's operations, which include competitors, creditors, customer, labor and trade union and suppliers. Industry environment, where industry specific factors identified by Porter's 5 force model: suppliers power, buyers power, entry barrier, substitute and competitive rivalry. Next we have environment, remote environment, the general environment consisting factors that originate beyond the firm's control. The external or uncontrollable environment is known as PEST. PEST. N means natural, G government. Now political system, it integrates the part of society into viable and functioning units. Main challenge is to bring people come together of different ethics and other background. In political system, a business firm should be able to analyze the constitution, political parties, government structure. Mechanism is to guide the power from one leader to another leader, key power blocks, and business must also be able to analyze how politicians finance their campaign. So political system influence how business conducted internationally and domestically. The government identifies the alternative to select the specific policy to pursue. Its major constituents are executive, the council of ministers, government and bureaucracy. Next is the legislature, which includes parliament, upper and lower house; judiciary, which includes the court or judicial authority; people, they are the political party, civil society and media press. Now coming towards, based on political ideology, there are different political systems given below. First is collectivism. It emphasizes on collective goals rather than individual goal or needs. The needs, welfare and benefit of the society as whole is seen over here, is given more importance than the individual. The individual rights in such system is reduced. This would not contrary to common goods of society. Collectivism today is known as ideal form as socialism. So socialism, it is described as modern form of collectivism. The roots to the Karl Marx, who advocate the state ownership of basic means of production, distribution and exchange. The state manages enterprises for the benefit of society as a whole. Socialism is split into two ideologies. The first is communism, which believes socialism is achieved by armed and violent revolution. Next is social democracy, where achieve of socialism by the democracy without any violence. In Nepal has adopted the policy to promote the import substituting industries (ISI) and established dozens of public enterprises that got involved in economic and business activities, but later, due to the increase in the cost burden on the government, as there is loss in incurring public enterprises, lack of professional management, over dependence on government, so this lead to change in the trend, that is privatization. Now, individualism, it refers to the political philosophy and the system that believe an individual should have freedom in his or her economic and political pursuit. So the individual goals rather than the collective goals are given primary welfare, or the benefit of society is given less importance. Importance is more given to an individual needs and welfare. Individualism has two principles: guaranteeing the freedom and self-expression of an individual. So talking about democracy, the government by the people is exercised directly or through the representative of parliament. It is based on the belief that citizens should directly involve in decision making in state and affair. So impractical to involve millions of people in decision making. So representative democracy is used where citizens elect their representative. Democracy system is instituted by the people for the social justice and welfare of everyone in the society. There are different trends of democracy, which is classified as capitalist democracy or parliamentary democracy, as Western country used. Next is social democratic, like Norway, France, Denmark, Finland. And next is socialist, where it involves North Korea, Cuba. Now we have liberalization. It is the strong trend of socio-economic setup that integrate market and socio-economic system of the country. It is the reversed protectionism developed during the World War, where liberalization has primary bearing on economic sector. Next we have totalitarian, where it is subdivided into theocratic and secular, where theocratic means the religious leaders are in power, like in Iran. Next is secular, where the government imposes order through the military power, for example Saddam Hussein in Iraq. So supporters of Western democracy is considered North Korea as communist totalitarian. Single party, individual or group monopolies use the political power over here. Now actors in political system. So there are different actors that play vital role in the political system. Constitutional body. So there are executive, legislative, judiciary and the people. In constitution and state structure, the constitution is the main law of land, and any contradict constitution automatically voids. International business manager analyze the constitution of any country they operate, giving long-term means to predict the political system. State has unitary federal structure where all the power is decentralized to the local level. Government structure varies from parliament, democratic and presidential. Next we have political parties. So political ideology and practice of the party determine what type of business, law and rules will be adopted by the government, as this political party run the government. Next there is a relationship between the political parties, where relation of political party is aggressive. The political situation is highly unpredictable and damaging. Next is power transition mechanism, where the power transition from one government to another government is smooth and well planned. Business can operate smoothly and decide how plan with the new government policies for the investment decision can be made, else the businessman or investor get confused. For example, in case of Nepal, one prime minister each year since 2063 on an average. Next actor is supranatural or international organization, where supranatural or agencies like WTO, UN, World Bank influence the international business. Their system makes heavy influence on the member country relating to the trade and investment. WTO provide Nepal with the technical and skill support in developing the government system and bureaucracy. Next we have regional trading bloc, where SAFTA, BIMSTEC, EU, NAFTA, ASEAN, they play an important role. They have aimed to advance the economic and political interest of the member, which influence the political agenda of both countries as major political party. EU has well-developed legislature, executive, judiciary for heavy influence on governance of the business. Now we have domestic competitor, where the host country competitor firm naturally oppose the entry of the foreign firm into local market, where lobbying the government and political party for the protecting them against the competitors. Now we have political risk. It is divided into two parts: general political risk and government intervention in the firm. So first, talking about the political risk, there is government takeover, operational restriction, agitation, block of fund, embargoes, terrorism, where government intervention in the firm is individualistic patriotism and communitarian patriotism. So political risk is the risk occurred due to the political instability. The factors may cause closure of the company or compel the company to sell itself to the other. The impact of political system results into two sources: general political risk and government intervention in the economy and the firm. So first, talking about the general political risk, where international business entity is the guest of the host country reserve the right of allow the access and also expropriation. It influences the scale and dimension of operation through policies. The manager need to identify and analyze the political risk while evaluating nations potential place to enter for the business. So the risk is occurred when the political climate change operating position. So government take over on corporate assets. So concerned with the nationalizing the foreign companies, government sees assets in two ways. First is expropriation, where it happen with or without compensation to the company. Simply government confiscate the property without compensation. Here the company complaint for the unjust compensation is not heard. Government impose the limitation on the profit, dividend, royalties, technical arrangement, where where simply get out of my country is the policy. It is known as creeping expropriation. Next is domestication, where there is transfer of control of foreign investment into national ownership. There is gradual encroachment of the freedom of operation in the foreign country. There are three types of domestication. First is firm initiated or self-initiated, where the firm has freedom to set discount rate of project life. Next is predetermined as the firm initiated, and next is government initiated, where the both variables are unknown and unplanned. Now coming towards the operational restriction, where the company's ability to take the certain business action. Example, Chile government restricted bringing the new foreigners into the management of the copper industry. So the business firms were forced to take the local Chileans into the company management. Next is agitation, war, conflict, violence. So agitation, it is disrupt, sell and cause damage to the property and personnel. It comes from non-government forces like opposition leaders, laborers, consumers. It involves strike, jams, lockouts to the protest against the business. Next we have war and conflict. They do not impact directly but have negative impact. Next is blockage of fund, where the political risk is temporary or permanent blocking of the fund. Business may own the fund, hold the property right, but they cannot export the earning of the investment or the return. Now we have embargo. So official ban on export to or import from a particular country. It is done to isolate or punish the government. For example, undeclared blockade to Nepal in 2015. Next is sanction, where there is trade penalty imposed on one or more country by one or more country in the form of tariff, trade barrier, import duty, export quota, etc. Next we have terrorism, where threat or actual use of the force or violence is done to attain the political goal without fear or coercion. Next, the damages of the infrastructure and disrupt the business, induce the fear to the customer, leading to economic recession. Now next we have government intervention in the economic activity and the form, where different attitude towards the economic influence the foreign business like MNC and FDI. There is individual paradigm, where it believes minimum government intervention in the economic activity, advocates least government interference. It argues that business should be set free as much as possible to cope with the market forces. The government, under the democratic and economically free political system, adopt this paradigm. Next, there is communitarian paradigm, where government tends to be authoritative and highly hierarchical. Government defines the needs and priorities. The government intervention is attempt to protect the community interest. The concept of legal environment. So legal system has two main functions: to provide enabling mechanism which individual and organization exist and operate. Next is to provide the means of resolving the conflict and dealing of the people who breaks the standard of the behavior. Now major legal system, there are three main legal system. So first, common law system. It is based on the previous court ruling or the legal precedent, like the based on the British. Next is civil or code law system. It is written down in the criminal or the civil courts to determine all the legal matters in the country based on the Roman law developed in the France. Next we have social, religious or theocratic law system, where the religious law are customized by the society. Theocratic law is based on the religious teaching. Islamic law is still used in the modern world, which is based on interpretation of Quran. Now actors in the legal system. First we have government. Government has the power to enact and enforce the law, regulate the business through the complex system of institution, agency and offices. Next we have constitution and national law, where the constitution provide instant and the long term means to provide legal system. It determines and shape the nature and of the national law. National law, as the law of every nation, affects the business within and among the country. Significant actors in any foreign country legal system affects the local business activities, cross-border activity and international treaties and convention. Next we have judiciary and court system, where the court and tribunals are the constitutional body that makes sure the country's form are executed. Central element of the country legal system has the responsibility for interpreting law and administering the justice in the democratic society. The religious power group. So in Muslim country, religious group and leader exert the high pressure on the government to adopt a Sharia law. Next we have supernatural international organization, which includes WTO, UNO or World Bank. They highly influence the business as their system. They make a high influence on the members of the country's law and legal system. They provide technical and skill support in designing many laws, including the Copyright Act. Next we have regional trading organization like SAFTA, BIMSTEC, EU, NAFTA, Asian. They influence the members of nations' law and regulation, with the regional bloc having the economic and political goals. The competing firm, the host country competitor, is often build pressure on the government to enact the law that protect them from the foreign competitor. Now, e-commerce and legal system. E-commerce is the business transaction where internet is used to join the customer and the supplier. It refers to the internet-based industry of buying and selling product and services. The solved problems are related to the location, distance, and time zone. There are 4 types or dimensions of e-commerce: B2B, B2C, C2B, and C2C, which includes Amazon, eBay, AliExpress, etc. Now, e-business means doing business over the internet, embracing the activities like selling, like service and collaboration, and other buying and selling activities. So formally it is defined as exchange of product, service, and information. Now, intellectual property right, it simply means the property of the mind and the knowledge. It refers to the property that is product of intellectual activity. It refers to the intangible and valuable assets protected by the state for the promotion of innovation and inventive activity. Computer software, textbook, drama, chemical formulas, etc. are included in it. WTO, trade related aspects of intellectual property right. TRIPS, TRIPS, introduce IPR rules into trading system for the first time. So components of IPR. First, we have industrial property, which includes mainly like patent, inventions, design, trademark, service, GIs, and trade secret. So next we have copyright. So intellectual property, which is related to literacy, artistics, scientific, and research work, is copyright. It is related to it has a right to exclude the others from using it without their authorization. It was introduced in Nepal as Copyright Act 2002. So related right, it is also known as neighboring right, where it is created after creator's copyright. It includes publishing rights, broadcasting right, telecasting right, etc. Next we have trademark. So it is the sign, picture, word used by person, firm, or the company to distinguish its product and goods from others. It is registered brand is trademark. There is 7 years for registration, where affect interest of the general people which is likely to harm goodwill of other. Next we have geographic indications, GI, where identify the place where the product is made, identifies the product's special characteristics which results in product's origin. Example, Jojutao as king of curd in Nepal needs to be protected as GI in Bhaktapur. Next we have industrial design. So it must be protected for 10 years. Owners will be able to prevent the manufacturing, sell and import, etc., which is copy design. Example, design of Nepali carpet manufacturing and export in international market. Next we have patent. So any new method of constructing and conducting and processing is based on the new principle and the formula. So that's it of the part 1. Make sure you like, comment and subscribe. You guys are amazing. Keep reading.